Hey, church family, I wanted to take this opportunity to present you with another word of encouragement as we continue to pray for those who are still without electricity. Now, I have no doubt that we're all ready for a little good news, and that's why I wanted to share the incredible news that's actually coming out of the state of South Carolina. It was last Thursday when South Carolina's governor, Henry McMaster, he signed the fetal heartbeat bill into law. And he immediately took to Twitter, and there he declared, "Today, we made history. The heartbeat bill is now the law of South Carolina, and we will defend it with everything in us because there is nothing more important than protecting the sanctity of life." I love that. What a great statement. And just to be clear about this, the new fetal heartbeat law there in South Carolina is going to prohibit every abortion mill there in that state from killing an unborn baby once the heartbeat of the baby is detected. And being that the heart begins to beat around 6 weeks after conception, this narrows the abortion option in South Carolina from 20 weeks to 6. Now, with this new law, South Carolina has actually joined several states that have also passed similar versions of the heartbeat bills. And this includes Arkansas, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Ohio. And while it's true that a beating heart is in fact scientific evidence of life, these laws typically end up being challenged at the federal court level by those who pretend to believe in science. Think about it for a moment. Whenever a person is hospitalized, they're immediately hooked up to an ECG machine, and this electronically monitors the vital signs of the patient. The most basic monitors, they show the person's blood pressure as well as their body temperature, but most importantly, their heart rate. These machines monitor the heart rate. And listen, if the beep, beep, beep of the heart rate monitor flatlines, this is scientific evidence that the person has just died. Now think about that. This is evidence, scientifically speaking, that a heartbeat is connected to the life of the individual. And I realize that there are many pro-abortion activists who are quick to insist that no, fetal heartbeat bills, they're all wrong. They get the science all wrong. For example, it was May 2019 when Wired magazine ran an article which was literally titled this: "Heartbeat bills get the science of fetal heartbeats all wrong." It's all wrong. Okay, so what is this science that us pro-life advocates are getting so wrong? What is it that we're so confused about when it comes to fetal heartbeats? Well, thankfully, the author of this article clears it up by appealing to an OBGYN at UC San Francisco. Her name is Jennifer Kearns, and Jennifer Kearns described the rhythm specified in these 6-week abortion bans as being nothing more than, and I quote, "a group of cells with electrical activity." That's what the heartbeat is at that stage of gestation. Well, that's an interesting point of view, especially in light of the fact that I could describe every adult heart with the same terms: a group of cells with electrical activity. Well, Dr. Kearns went on to insist that, we're in no way talking about any kind of cardiovascular system. Oh, okay. So according to Dr. Kearns, the heartbeat rhythm detected in a 6-week-old fetus, it's not evidence of life because why? Well, because this group of cells, which has scientific evidence of electrical activity, hasn't yet fully developed into a complete cardiovascular system. So it's not enough for her to say that is evidence of life. And this is interesting, especially in light of the theories that many evolutionists have embraced in order to explain the origins of life without God. You see this science, which is known as abiogenesis. It attempts to explain how life arose spontaneously from non-life. According to one expert, the most famous origin of life experiment was actually completed back in 1953 at the University of Chicago. This experiment conducted by Miller and Urey. This is oftentimes used in defense of the belief that life arose from natural processes. And what they did is they took a mixture of methane, ammonia, hydrogen gases, and water vapor. They put it into a glass flask, and then they proceeded to electrify this mixture by using a spark discharge device. And within a few days, listen, the water and gas mixture produced a reddish stain on the sides of the flask which did in fact include several types of amino acids. And this got the scientific community all excited. Now, unfortunately for them, they ultimately failed to demonstrate how life allegedly arose from non-life by means of natural processes. But now, as we consider this experiment and how it's oftentimes been appealed to as further proof of life coming from non-life, let's take a moment to ask, what would those scientists have said if after conducting the experiment, they came back and there in that glass flask was a group of cells with electrical activity producing a rhythmic pattern? What would they have said about that? What would they have said about this group of cells producing electricity? Without debate, this would have been, in their minds, evidence that life arises from natural processes. And you better believe that doctors, and scientists who are evolutionists, I have to assume that Dr. Jennifer Kearns would appeal to this experiment as evidence that life arises from natural processes. And so with that being the case, why is she and others like her so quick to dismiss the cells and the electrical activity happening within a fetus as scientific evidence of life within the womb of a woman? Why are they just saying, no, this is not evidence of life? Clearly, their position is not scientific. Because listen, if a scientist found the same group of cells in a lab or on the moon or wherever, if they found these cells producing electrical activity in a rhythmic sort of pattern, they would quickly identify this as proof of life. That is, until this group of cells is found in the womb of a woman. Those who oppose fetal heartbeat laws in the name of science are actually allowing their political position to alter their approach to science. With that being the case, we should not only applaud the states like South Carolina for being brave enough to pass fetal heartbeat laws, but we should also help those who are still pro-abortion to think through the issue. Let's help them to realize that the group of cells that produce electrical activity within the womb of a woman, this is enough evidence for us to believe scientifically that there is life in the womb of every pregnant woman. And since there is scientific evidence of life, then there's also scientific evidence that abortion is tantamount to murder. We should also inform these pro-abortion activists that the Lord is the only one who has given us life. There is no evidence that life has arisen from natural processes. God has given us life. He is the one who has created us. He is the one who gives us life and breath and all things, because he is the one who forms our inward parts. And he did this when he covered us there within our mother's womb. And therefore, we ought to be praising our Creator, because we have been fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. And with that being the case, we have to also do whatever we can to defend the life of the most vulnerable, so that we can continue to fight the good fight of faith, and all for the glory of God.